And now, Hangar 56 Media presents Spike's Car Radio, a downloadable cars and coffee, hosted by writer, comedian, and automotive enthusiast Spike Ferriston. Now, here's Spike.
Don't say your locations or anything else if you don't want them in the show. Welcome to Spike's Car Radio. Here we are on a Wednesday. We've got an ad-free show for you. We've got Zuckerman. We've got Leibowitz. We have your questions, and we've had a lot of car fun this past weekend. We were out in Malibu. Zuckerman wasn't there, but Lieberman, you and I were out there for the big Audi RS e-tron GT debut. Great crowd, no more security, no more health restrictions, lots of people. Jay Leno in a Maserati 3500, I believe.
3500 GT-963?
Yes, gorgeous car.
That thing looked beautiful.
I brought out the Targa 4S that we can talk about. You brought this Guntherwerks car.
Gunther.
It was great. It was a nice day out there.
Gunther.
No, I don't know what it is. Gunther.
Lieberman, I was just looking at your post. It was making me laugh because you were talking, you were asking for questions too, but you also were pointing out that Audi parked their car kind of weird and it made it hard to photograph, right?
Like, look, okay, let's say you have every single option in the universe on an RS e-tron GT. When it's brand new, it'll be $200,000. Jay Leno brings, I don't know, what's that thing, $1.5 million, right?
Yeah.
Just parks it next to it. It's fine. Everyone knows what they're doing. Great pictures all day. Guntherwerks. This thing's $1 million. Parked it next to that. It's fine. Audi parks like slanted across 3 spots, and they put like a velvet, not even velvet, just a rope around it.
Yes.
So you can't get a decent picture. And then they have, I was there for 2 hours. They had all 4 doors open until their little camera guy, Dennis, was like, hey, could I get a picture of you in the car? I'm like, A, make sure you get my Cadillac shirt. B, like shut the door so we can see what it looks like.
Yeah.
And you know, Joe Richardson from Ferrari PR was there, and he's like, if there's a marketing budget, they can't help themselves. You know, they couldn't just put it next to Jay's car. That would have been the best thing they could have done. Everybody would have taken a picture of the Maserati. What's this cool looking Audi? They also painted it in like non-color, right? It's just
I liked it. No, I thought it was great looking, but just the angle. It's funny because until I read what you wrote, I was like, why can't I get a good picture of this car?
Well, because there's a rope
there's a stanchion in it, and it was blocking. I'm like,
But like all they had to do, because they're like, we don't want people touching it. I'm like, oh, Jay doesn't want people touching it. I don't want people touching it. All you got to do is park it, shut the doors, put the windows down. Nobody will touch the Audi. I promise. You know, I told him this,
but it was fun. It was still a fun day out there.
It was so cool they did it. It was so cool.
I know some of the listeners were like, "Why do you want corporate people now in your grassroots car show?" Well, what? We're always driving these. We love these relationships with these brands.
Yeah,
it gets us good stuff to drive and review.
Yeah,
that's why we do things like that. Now, Zuckerman, you weren't in attendance.
No,
you decided not to. Many people asked after you. Where is Zuckerman? Is he still afraid to come to the Cars and Coffee?
I don't like that many people. I don't.
In general, so it has nothing to do with the virus.
It has nothing to do.
You can get rid of that many. To say I don't like people.
To do with the virus. I know that you're prompting me. I had a very minor surgical procedure.
I was not prompting you at all.
Yes, you were.
No, I was not.
Then we won't talk about it. Oh, there's just one thing I want to tell you.
He had to have his penis elongated just a little bit.
No,
it was
okay.
It's finally he has the money for it.
Had they told me, Lieberman, had they told me that this process of minor local surgery would require me to be catheterized, I would not have done it. I can't believe in the informed consent. These motherfuckers, there's my F-bomb, didn't tell me that they were going to shove a pipe up my dick and then take it out. And so the first time after this procedure I went to pee, it reminded me of 1983 when I had the gonorrhea.
Oh boy.
That's how bad it hurt.
Welcome to Spike's Car Radio.
Bad.
I did not want you to. I wasn't prompting you for this story. I was merely trying to tell you the fans were asking about you, and they were curious.
Well, then we can.
They were curious about. Are you still afraid to come to the Cars and Coffee because of the virus? They want to see you out there. Is all. The minor surgery in the pipe in the penis was not where I was.
Well, if you find that to be gratuitous and you want to cut it out, hey, Will. Well, you can cut out my penis.
Was it better going in or coming out?
I was asleep when they did the whole thing. I was not cognizant of the whole catheterization until I was like, oh my God. The lady said, you got to pee before you leave. So I go to pee in the jug, and I'm just like, oh my God, crying, razor blades. And I said, did you guys, was I catheterized? And she said, of course. What do you mean, of course?
Yeah, that's weird.
I didn't get catheterized for, say, my colonoscopy.
Me neither, yeah.
Right? And why couldn't they just put some sock on the outside of it to collect what wasn't coming out anyway? I don't understand. That was so.
Are you going to sue them?
No, but I'm going to give him a piece of my mind when I see him on Wednesday for the follow-up. I'm going to say, are you fucking nuts? You're an ear, nose, and throat doctor. What are you doing touching my dick?
Yes.
This is not your sphere of influence down
right.
here. So when it comes to, I will go if I can get Audi's 3 parking spots and a velvet rope around me. The crush of people mashing muffins into their mouth and spitting crumbs at me talking. My good
Did you experience any of that, Johnny? You brought your wife and your son. It was lovely to meet them.
You've never had anybody, people like chazing. It was just pushing in. Muffin. I know,
but we have next to no virus now. Now you don't really.
I'm not worried about the virus. I don't like people, Ferguson. Don't you understand?
Well, I understand that.
They like you.
They like you.
You've created. You have fans now. They want to meet.
Look at Lieberman's comforting me. Look at the wise words of Lieberman.
What I don't like. I'll tell you what I don't like. I guess I did this to you last time, but lots of people were taking pictures of me at really belly enlarging angles.
Yes.
And posting them.
That's what I just did to the two of you getting out of the Gunther.
Yeah, so
I've done that.
I'm going in a burqa next time or something, or so whatever's slimming.
But you know what? Who cares?
No, I know.
The more we look like normal folks, the better. We're not movie stars. We're vain.
No. Yeah.
But we're dads. We've been through a pandemic. We're old. We like to eat. Fuck it all at this point. We're entering our fucking years.
His weight and body shape the best at Sunday Cars and Coffee. It would be that dude that puts that asbestos sock on his head. The fire retardant sock guy.
Yeah, I have a picture of him, and let me tell you,
who has the world's he's a numbers matching 1979 Mazda 626.
This girl is going to be thrilled. Dominique Chalier from Australia, who's a listener and a fan, sent me this picture of that guy. First of all, here's the picture.
Oh, I saw
it. He is. Yeah. There he is. Look at him, Zuckerman. And she just wrote, he is hot. And she's a very good-looking woman. And she, this guy is out there being himself, and that is hot. It's hot.
I just want to know,
Johnny, so just be yourself.
I'm myself. Trust me.
Don't worry about
245 pounds of me. But
nope.
Have we seen that guy with his asbestos sock off?
I don't want to see him without his sock. I like.
Maybe he's like our best friend that we don't know.
He's quite nice. I've chatted with him.
Very
I don't
nice.
know his name, but I don't want to see under the mask.
Right.
I think that would be odd. Now, Zuckerman, you gave me a lot of shit for parking here when I came in, but I did this so we could look at both cars while we podcasted, right?
I can look at one car.
But tell me what more? Zuckerman gets mad when I don't pull in 1,000 car lengths into the hangar. Just tell me where you want me to park.
Why don't you pull all the way forward? It's a normal
you want
thing.
Me there, you want me over there.
Wait, let me ask you a question. When you pull into a parking spot, do you pull in halfway?
I'm coming into a podcast, and I want us to see both cars, and I want to take pictures of them.
You should pull forward a little bit more because you leave the other guy halfway on the entry grade.
But he's not. He's in all the way.
I am. My back tires are on metal, not concrete.
No, they're not. They're on concrete.
Oh, look at that.
Okay, well, look.
And I can see them both, and we can take a nice picture here.
Okay, if that's how you want to do it.
But if you're not okay with it in this space, I'll move it.
I would just say that for me, if I came, I would pull all the way forward. That's just how you do it.
Well, here, let me tell you what I'm doing.
I understand your illogic, but that's
this is
okay.
great for radio.
No, I'm telling you.
See anything.
That's all right.
Well, this is now a long-running problem with him.
Thing.
I pull into his hangar spaces, and in my mind, I'm trying to leave space perfectly so he can see the cars, and I get yelled at no matter what that I'm not parking in the right place.
When I go to the other hangar, I can't get into and away around you.
But you just got to tell me where to park. And then I'll park wherever you want.
Out of the way.
That's too much of a trap.
Generally speaking, how do I park?
Okay,
Am I okay?
I'm out of the way right now.
I'm just talking
but
about when we're at the other hangar. When
Yes.
you get there before me.
Yes,
I
I
don't
set
want
up.
to be stuck behind you. I want to come and be able to park my fucking car.
But
and
tell me
take
where you
something
want me
else.
to park. Do you want
Out
me to
of
park
the way.
in?
Just out of the way so I can get around you.
I don't know what that means. Do you want me to
Okay,
leave it
you'll-
outside the hangar, or do you want me to park it in the
Thursday.
very end? But out of the way doesn't make sense to
Yes,
me.
it does, because when you pull in, you put it at the pinch point. You're like at the you're at the Straits of
So
Gibraltar.
go deeper
A
into the
little-
hangar.
go deeper
This is-
to the
but
left.
this-
Don't block the Straits.
But see,
Don't
this is-
cork the bottle.
This is this is the same problem though. Spike puts that car so we can look at it during the podcast. That's why you put it there. The bike
Yeah,
or
it's
whatever.
nice to have a
Visual
shot
reference.
to chat about it and
Yeah, yeah,
reference
yeah.
it. And,
You know,
but
it's a
I'd
topic.
rather not have the argument at the very start.
I enjoy the
podcast.
argument. It was you should have seen him when we pulled in. It's
No,
like,
he comes in hot, and it's Monday, and look, we're all hot on Mondays. You're facing the
so
week
hot.
of work. Let's talk about cars,
yes,
though,
cars.
because Johnny, I think, and I was on Matt Farah's show last week, and he drove the new GT3.
Yes.
You've driven it.
I have.
You can review it.
Yes.
Zuckerman and I are fans of this car. We have not driven it.
Yeah.
Tell us your thoughts, because I
Okay.
heard what Matt Farah said. You know, in general, he said it's tilted more towards a race car than a street car.
Yeah, I don't know about race car, but track
Tilted
car.
towards the track a
yeah.
little more than previous iterations.
Yeah. So Porsche's claiming they couldn't get any more power out of it. So to get more performance out of it, they had to do what they know how to do is
Power
make
being
horsepower. Just
yeah,
because
but where are we at?
I think it's still 500, maybe 502, but just because of emissions and particulate filters and all that, they're claiming that's why. I think they're reserving space for the RS, and when they do the 992.2, they got to get more power out of the engine. Blah blah blah. So how do you make with the same amount of power? How do you make a car go quicker? You make it racier, right? And so it's it's going to ride stiffer. To be fair to what Matt said, I only drove it on Angeles Crest, and I drove it like at 10/10 the entire time. I didn't check anything out because I only had 20 minutes to drive it, just because Motor Trend had it, and it had to go from Angeles Crest to Ventura for a photo shoot. But yeah, the front end is phenomenal. I'm not supposed to mention the fact that it has the double wishbone suspension, double A control arms, but it's great.
Why can't you mention that?
Just Jethro brought up a great point where he was like, everyone just thinks like he's like Miatas have double wishbones. Like,
Right.
It's not like some revolutionary, but the way people talk about Porsche is like,
Yeah,
they
yeah.
put double wishbones. It's like, yeah, just like a Miata's had since '89.
Right.
But it's just great. So it's a very solid front end, and that's what you want. Very, very direct steering. Is it going to be harder than the last GT3? Yes, it definitely is. I think that they're going to maybe solve some of that when the Touring comes. And again, we don't really know anything about the Touring yet. But
Right.
the last Touring, despite what the internet says, was identical to the car with the wing.
Yes.
Except that they put another 100 pounds on the rear of the Touring for the pop-up hydraulic spoiler.
Mm-hmm.
And so they had to soften the shocks ever so slightly to deal with the extra 100 pounds. But the
That
front
really cost? That was 100 pounds.
yeah, it's hydraulic fluid in the motor. Yeah, it's yeah. I mean, yeah, maybe it's 75. I don't know, but
So
it weighs a lot more.
what Johnny's saying, what Matt Farah was also saying, Zarkoman, is these are two different rides, the
Right.
Touring now and this GT3 with
think.
the wing. We
We
think,
think,
we
yeah.
hope that it'll be more of a Touring, no sports seat, comfy seat experience.
That would be
so
smart.
you have a
Smart
bigger
marketing,
choice
too.
Yeah, I mean, this is sort of it's I don't know, not the GT3's perennial problem, but if you think about the 991.1, right? It
Right.
comes out PDK only, no touring, no nothing, and the orthodontist goes to the Porsche dealer. That's the new expensive one. Give me that. Oh my God, this is miserable. It's not like my 911. It's a hardcore track car. And then not that they softened it for the point two, but they made it better. And so maybe they're just getting ahead of themselves with the touring. We don't know though. I talked to Porsche. They're gonna announce the touring in about 2 months.
You just announced it.
Yeah. No, they're gonna announce what it actually is, and it might
Right.
might have a back seat. But to me, it drove
Might have a back seat.
might have a back seat.
But they've learned that
That's
more
interesting.
options is better for them.
Yeah,
The more
definitely.
versions they make of these things, the more they sell.
Yeah.
Surprisingly.
They had I was the same conversation I was having with Porsche. They had 28 iterations of the 991, and I was like, "Hey, I drove 26 of them. Do you know anyone else that doesn't work for Porsche who drove that many?" and he didn't know that. But anyways, yeah. So they need to do that. But end of the review. To me, the new one felt an awful lot like the last GT3 RS.
Right.
Felt a lot like that, just in terms of like stuck to the road, no lean, and a much stiffer, punishing ride and loud. It felt to me louder. I drove Misha's 993 touring recently, and it felt louder than that. And I don't think it has thinner glass. I think it has a little bit less sound insulation. So
I heard somebody comment that it was loud, but did not seem to produce in relation to the noise when you hopped on it. That for all of that noise and fury, there should have been a little more motivation. Is that...
No, I mean, 500 horsepower from an engine that goes to 9,000. Like, yeah, I'm not going to complain about it. It's still a great engine. The other super cool thing they did, giant, massive yellow shift lights come up. This is a PDK car, but when you get near red line and when you're in manual, so it's like, that was a problem I always had with the 991 GT3s was, at 7,000, it's fucking loud. And so you shift, but like peak horsepower is at 9,000, right? So this is great because that way you don't have to keep looking down at the tach. Even if you're looking left or right, in your peripheral, you'll see these big yellow lights flashing at you.
Oh, that's cool.
It's great. I thought that was really, really great.
It's funny, having sold some 991 GT3s, you get this question from all of the amateurs. We want to have the download of you. Did you go past the rev limiter?
No.
And I think that's funny. Like, it's impossible when you're talking at 9,000. I never hit the rev limiter in a GT3. Never.
You got to work to do it. You could do it, but you got to work to do it. And look, the computer will tell you. The computer tracks every single thing.
Can you really over rev these cars?
I'm sure you could figure out a way to do it. Yeah, if you did some, like this, hitting the pedal a split second before shifting.
But what you're saying is like to the point where it affects the value of the car. Somebody looks at the computer printout and goes, "Oh yeah, right, 20 over revs."
They asked us, they want the download, so we don't want to buy it if it's been over.
Yeah, right.
And
does that mean anything?
Guys, are you fucking kidding me? No one's over revved this. No one's over revving these cars. It's not happening.
Right.
I don't think I ever got into the 8,000s in one of these cars.
Yeah, you could do it. The press cars and anything that goes on a track will probably get an over rev. But remember, an over rev is one over rev is 1 millisecond over 9,000. So I'm sure Porsche's like engineered in, like, you could have a bunch of over revs and you're not going to actually hurt the engine in any way. And that's what they'll probably have to do for like the RS version is like take it to 9,500, something like that. So I don't know. It seemed very cool. I'd love to have more time with it, and I just really want to drive the manual because as cool as PDK is, that engine screams for a manual.
I don't know if you guys have heard about this microchip shortage.
Isn't that crazy?
I was on Farah's show, and one of the listeners was asking me about why Targas are so hard to get. Is it the microchip shortage? And I was like, what is he talking about? Big article in the New York Times over the weekend about this shortage, and then at the car show, again, we're hearing about Jaguar shutting down, and lots of manufacturers just shutting down their production line. Ford shutting down like 4 or 5 plants.
You think this is phony? You think this is a phony?
Well, let me tell you something. It's not phony because the Tesla we ordered for my wife, which was coming this week, has now been punted a month and a half.
But phony in the sense.
Well, hold on. It was already late. It was already due, and we were finally like, oh, we made it to today, and then boom, end of June, maybe, and
you don't think this is a purposeful kind of a shortage of chips?
No, it's not.
There's no price collusion here. Price fixing.
Listen to this, Zuckerman. Do you know how many chips are in a car, an average car that's made, new car?
No idea.
3,000 plus per car, per new car.
Is this what they're making? Did they know to make this shit? I've heard of chip gluts in the past, right?
Well, no, it's a supply line issue. It had something to do with the COVID, the pandemic, the weather, the shipping, and that disaster in Texas that happened.
Yeah.
Problems in China. It is a big problem across a lot of
what's crazy,
products.
What's crazy is the one that I was like, this can't be real, but was I think it's Ram and Chevy. If you buy a new truck, you get one key. And then when another microchip shows up and they can make more keys, you can go back to the dealer and get your second key.
Right.
But that's wild to me.
And Peugeot was going back to analog instruments.
You read that? That was funny.
They couldn't have anything. I mean,
hey, all for it. The Gunther, all analog instruments. That's
Where
how you
are
do
they
it.
getting analog instruments? Where are they finding
VDO, VDO's dying to sell you
Yeah.
some analog gauges. They've been waiting.
I was
This
just
is their
surprised
moment.
that Peugeot was making cars. I was just like, wow,
yeah.
they're still in
They
business.
might be
Wait,
coming
but
here.
what's the name of the new Peugeot owner? Do you know that? Lieber?
Stellantis.
Yes. What the hell is a Stellantis?
It's some sort. I
It's
think
the
it's
drug
like
you're going to be on
Yes.
after your
My
surgery.
prostate.
After they put that thing up your dick, you got to take
Yes.
I
Stellantis
think,
on
if
Friday
I
nights.
remember, it's like you had the Roman gods, and then before the gods were the Titans. I think it's one of the Titans was named Stellantis.
Was the Kraken a Titan? Release the Kraken.
It's one of those.
Release Stellantis.
I talked to a guy at Stellantis, and he said, "Well, you should have seen the names we turned down."
What was wrong with Peugeot? What was
Because you're merging PSA with FCA. I mean, it's just it's Stellantis. I don't
Do
know.
not take Stellantis if you are allergic to Stellantis. Do not take Stellantis. You may suffer diarrhea if you take Stellantis.
If you've had an erection for more than 8 hours, kill yourself.
Please stop taking Stellantis.
Possible side effects include
Itchy
analog
rectum.
gauges.
Diarrhea. Did we mention itchy rectum?
Throbbing boner.
Throbbing boners.
8 hours.
Stellantis. Yeah, they're not going anywhere. I like the big creature named Stellantis better, I think, than the drug, but it is a really bad name. Really bad name. So what is Stellantis?
But here's
they're
the thing.
Peugeot, and aren't they Chrysler? Or?
But everything. I mean,
everything,
Fiat,
right?
Chrysler.
So they
Jeep,
dumped
Ram,
all of the
Peugeot.
wounded. Who was the genius that dumped all these wounded brands together?
His name. I can't
His
see
name is
face. I've
Bill
talked to him.
Stellantis.
Yeah, Bill.
Do they have anything good?
Name it
in that
after
group?
myself.
Yeah, I mean they got Alpha, they got Ram, Jeep, they got Citroen.
Is there
Peugeot.
any A player in that group?
I mean, A player. I don't know.
You're talking niche market, like okay, Ram is.
Profitability wise, Jeep is the A-est of A players. Like,
And what about Ram?
Ram prints cash too. Those are great. Chrysler's not very good right now since I think they're down to a minivan in a 14-year-old car. Fiat's in trouble. Alfa is a great brand. They have two great products. They're not selling. Maserati.
Goodbye.
Maybe not. I don't know. But they're also going electric. That's the other thing. Everything's going electric. So it's totally a
What
weird
can you
time.
buy this whole Stellantis thing for? Like, if I had a couple $1 billion, could I be Mr. Stellantis
I think
and
you
get all
could,
this shit?
Yeah. Tavares. His name is Tavares. Peter Tavares, I think. First
Greek
name's
shipping
Tavares.
type.
Tavares Stellantis.
Now, yes,
You
I'm
see what he
Greek.
did?
It's going to be a Greek name.
No, he used to be
Temoculus.
head of
Stellantis
engineering at
Tavares.
Nissan.
head of engineering ends up owning all
Not
of the.
owning, he's a CEO. I don't know who owns it. I mean, I don't
This
know.
is a scam here, right? There's some
But
way
it's
they're
16
milking.
brands.
They're
Name
milking.
them all.
They're milking value out of the death of all of these brands. They have put all of the bad investments into one group, and it's going underwater.
Maybe. Or they just get rid of everything except for Jeep, and they're the most profitable automaker on the planet. So.
Do not take Stellantis if you are vomiting blood. My favorite line in any of those is do not take the drug if you're allergic to the drug. That's one I just like, well, how would I know if I've never taken Stellantis? Do not take
eyeballs.
Stellantis if you are allergic to... Oh, thank you. If I'm allergic to cashews, I won't eat them either. I mean, that's insane. No, stop taking my picture. I don't want my picture taken right now. Let's talk about this Targa 4S right here.
Not
Now,
the
see, we can
Gunther?
all look at it.
All right. It's gorgeous.
This car is really interesting, right? It's
Best looking Porsche.
is it gentian blue? It is truffle brown interior. I wasn't crazy about the spec, but the internet loved it. It's such an interesting car to drive because it's a very beautiful car to look at. The exterior styling is wonderful. I learned a little bit about the Targa history, that back in the day when they were making the 356 Cabriolet, Porsche was in fear that the United States would ban convertibles.
Yeah, that was a very real in the 70s. That was a very real
and
possibility.
so they created the
I'm
Targa.
sorry, the 60s. The 60s. Yeah.
They
Very,
created
very
the
real.
Targa, which is an Italian word for shield, and put this visible, still there to this day, roll bar on it to keep folks safe. And the Targa was born. I'm not a Targa guy. Zuckerman and I
man.
have an 82 that we love, but these new ones,
I'm
it's
a
not ever a
new-
choice I would ever make. I find them to be a little noisy. Though in classic Spike style, there was a lot of buffeting. So you put the top down. I was driving it downtown, lots of buffeting. I brought it out to the Cars and Coffee yesterday, and they said, but you didn't push the thing up.
I was going to say, did you push the air net?
I did not know about the thing. Right atop the windshield, Zuckerman, is a little button, analog little
there's a little flap that pops
air
up that
redirectional thing.
And that cures the buffeting problem?
It doesn't, but it does.
Helps. It helps.
It helps the buffeting, but it's still noisy.
Well, the top's off.
But look, it's a great car, hugely popular car, and people love it. Price point, I think, is like 136 sticker. I think this one's 167.
Lots of profit.
Acoustically, though, when you look at that back, it feels like I always feel like I'm in the center of an acoustic guitar, like sitting a little low in an acoustic guitar. It always plays. The sound is always a little off, and I mean even the radio and the rest of it. I love 992s, and it performs like a 992, and it's great.
Very pretty.
It's just not for me. It's just not for me.
I think these are the best looking 911 since the 991 Targa.
Beautiful, right?
I would
They're
agree.
beautiful.
The team that did the roof, like watching the roof open and close, is just a work of like, if you're into watches, it's like just this beautiful mechanical ballet.
How come I can't get the top to open with my button like everybody else can? Is that just not something
I didn't know you could do that. I think you have to hold the thing inside. That's probably why you can't.
Because you're stupid.
Yeah.
Take your scientist and shut up, Zuckerman.
You have an extra chromosome.
No, but but look, there's no button for it. But everybody on the internet seems to have a button that
they
opens.
have a kid hiding below the door. Doing
Really?
it. Yeah, I think.
Yeah. They scam me.
The same team that did the Cabrio roof.
Yep.
It's like 8 engineers. They worked this out.
It's beautiful when it opens up. I
love Targas. One of my best.
But you
drives.
can't open or close it when the car's in motion. That's also a little bit of a negative.
Can't you go like 20
do the
miles
30
an hour?
mile an hour thing
No,
like the
no.
convertible?
You have to be at a standstill.
Yeah.
It is not like a cabriolet.
Okay.
Which 19-second roof it's a little tricky.
Yeah.
Like
19 seconds.
Yeah, you're
There's a
hesitant.
lot going
these
on.
days.
There's a lot going on, but like I was on the PCH and I was at a red light. I was kind of hesitant to kind of start the process, right? 'Cause the light must change.
Cadillac Alante speed.
Yeah.
Very slow, that roof.
So again, that's
but it's the whole roof. It's like this. You're moving.
I will tell you
metal.
again, though, it must be emphasized. This Target does cure all the look issues with the 992. This is a great looking 911 and 992, and there's other 992s that kind of challenge looks wise.
Well, that's the surprise is how much people like this car wherever I go. I'm like, I'm not the one who's liking it as much, but so many people love this 992.
Performance-wise, it's a touch. I mean, I'm waiting for the GTS, the Targa GTS. It's a bit of a letdown.
Yeah,
I thought
right.
the S would be a little sharper than it was.
Right.
It's also the heaviest 911. So that's a bad thing. That said, I once took it was a 991.1, must have been 0.1, Targa around the Nürburgring for like, I don't know, 10 laps or something. And I had the time of my life. Like, I love Targas forever because of that. And then I drove at 175 miles an hour up to Hamburg from the Nürburgring, just like cruise control on the Autobahn.
with the top
down. Oh, hell yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I had the top down.
You
on
didn't
the
get
Nürburgring.
sucked out like a rag?
No. It was great. I loved
Just
it.
his beard.
I loved it. So I'm very pro Targa.
Okay, but don't you really? To me, GTS and Target top seems to be paradoxical.
No, because I love convertibles. I love hardtops. It's a Swiss Army knife. You get
I know,
a lot
but you
of
got
the
the
best
GTS for sporty, but you got all that weight.
Yeah, but there's so much, friggin' power now and all-wheel drive and Porsches. Even though it has all that weight, it's still lighter than everything else. That probably weighs as much as a Corvette. So it's a light car.
You know what it has in it that I really started appreciating, and Zuckerman, you would love this, and I didn't think it would work, and it does. It has a lift in it, which it doesn't frankly need. Though in areas on my street, like at the end of the street that I come down on Sunset there, that there's those big divots, right? On this car, and on the new GT3 I've heard, when you hit the lift, a little message comes on the screen that says, would you like to memorize this spot, and the lift will turn on automatically when you get here.
Just to burst your bubble, the new Corvette does that. It's been done that for a year.
It's called geofencing.
Geofencing. Tesla does that.
But
It's great.
Porsche is now doing it, and I'm here to tell you it works. So now every time I come down to the end of the street, every time I go into my garage, it's there, it works, it goes up by itself, and I don't have to think. How about that, Zuckerman?
Well, but you say I don't have to think. That's the problem with
Yeah,
this world.
but I don't want to. Yeah, but I don't want to lift. I mean, because it could be 25 times to go get milk. It can be, it's a
I
lot.
like little challenges in my life.
Well, you
Right.
need a Guntherwerks then, my friend, because you want to talk about a car with a tricky lift.
I would need a spine transplant before I could sit in that seat. That is a beautiful car. I sat in the seat for 10 seconds and I found it excruciating.
We're
Yeah,
talking
yeah.
about the Guntherwerks.
Yes, we
But
segued.
let me tell you about the lift, because I was actually on the phone with them, giving them my
They have
download.
a
Why don't
lift.
you just give the listeners just a quick top line
line.
on what it is?
Don't bury the lead.
What it costs, how much it
This is how you do
what
it
it's
there,
based
Lieberman.
on.
Yes, do it the right way.
Everyone knows the Guntherwerks.
Let's not talk over each other, gentlemen. Go ahead, set up the car.
Okay, so
Someone's coming in and out. That's
it's
why we're
officially,
stopping.
yeah, it's okay. It's officially called the Porsche 993 Remastered by Guntherwerks. That's the
So they don't get sued.
Porsche's legal department came up with that. All right.
Remastered.
It is a 993. They take it down to the metal. The only thing left is the metal, the windshield wiper arms, and I believe the bell housing from the transmission. Everything else is new, including the carbon fiber body. It actually is their own design. It weighs, I've been saying 2,300 pounds. I've been wrong. It's about 2,600 pounds.
Very
or so.
light still.
Very light. 435 horsepower from a 4-liter air-cooled motor. It did, with Randy Popes driving it, it did a 130.99 around Laguna Seca. A McLaren P1 did a 130 point something or other. A Porsche 918 Spyder did a 129. The first time Randy did it, he did a 130 in the 918. Then he did a 129. So this is on pace of $1 million, 1,000 horsepower hyper hybrid cars, right? And it's an air-cooled Porsche. So it kicks ass. Now, that said, on the freeway, it tramlines a lot. It's so loud you can't hear. Doesn't have a heater. It hurts Zuckerman's spine to sit in it for 10 seconds. But
He needs
it's
Stellantis.
a very serious performance car.
Wow.
That
I
said,
can't believe
the
they're so
lift-
expensive. I can't believe they're so
All
expensive.
that 750
carbon
grand.
fiber.
They're only making 25. It's carbon fiber.
That's it.
It's 750,000 before options. This one's probably 850 the way it sits.
Right.
But the lift. So this is what they got to fix. Look how low it is. So it
Right.
scrapes on everything. Even with the lift, it still scrapes a little. But the lift is.
But that's a carbon fiber lip that you're scraping, right?
Yeah. I've talked to them all about it. You hit the lift, it goes up, and then if you turn the car off, it goes down. Every other lift in the world,
it stays up.
the bag stays up.
Yep.
And so I was coming up my street, and my neighbor's coming down the street, so I hit the brakes and I stalled it because I stalled it, and then I had the lift up to get in my driveway, and I forgot that it goes down because I stalled it, and when I turned the car back on. So they said they're going to see if they can figure out a way to make it
There
stay.
is
Yeah,
$1
that would-
million
that would be-
off of the value.
So this car you have here, is this just a prototype that they have out for
I'm
testing?
not
or?
sure if this is a 000 or if Peter, this is his car. But so this is the second time I've driven this car. I drove it the first time. I sort of handed them a list like, I would change this. And Farrah did the same thing, and a couple other people. And they changed it all.
Is this Eratium green?
Leaf.
I think it's called Greenwich Green.
Greenwich green.
Yeah.
It could be a ratio. It looks kind of leafy too. Maybe.
Yeah. It's more Eratium though. You can see it's just a little
It's
lighter.
very pretty.
It's a gorgeous car. And even, I'm not a big fan of this color, but it's a stunning car.
Oh, you know what? If the seats were a little cushier and it was just dialed back a little bit, not so hard edged. If they just dialed it back 10% from that racing peak,
Yeah.
it would be an amazing all day car.
So this is what we told him last time we drove it, because this one, the way it sits now, is dialed back about 40% from
Really?
where it was. It was insane. I mean, it was so loud.
Wow.
I was like, because they're like, oh, you can like go to the racetrack, then take your wife to the opera. I'm like,
Sure,
if
yeah,
your
yeah.
wife is like deaf in a coma. Like it was just awful.
Might as well Dutch oven her.
The
And,
opera.
yeah,
the opera.
If that's
Take
called
your
the
wife
Dutch
to
oven.
the
Take your wife to
opera.
the fucking fucking opera.
Called the Dutch Oven Opera.
And so they got, like, if you have the sport mode off, it is like, it's quieter. It's not quiet, but it's quieter than it was. Misha, my buddy, he drove it. He has a GT3 Touring, and he was blown away by it because I said to him, I'm like, this is the most hardcore car you'll ever drive. Like, I know it looks like a rich guy's toy, but it's hard fucking core. And he gets out, he's like, I heard what you said. I didn't believe you. Now that I've driven it, oh my God.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
he said, I need something that splits the difference, which I think is what you're saying.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you're a 993 fan, you go here. If you're a 964 fan, you go to Singer for one
I've
of
never
these
driven
deals.
a Singer. I have no idea. But I think if you look, it's one of 25. It's good. They're already going up in value. If you just want a very, very, very special 911,
Yeah, they're going up.
And they're
all
guaranteed
going up.
they're not going to make more than 25.
of this, they've announced they're going to do a Speedster, and then they have another car coming after that. I think it's going to be
That's
like,
good. I mean, when you keep the numbers down, that's better.
And I asked him. I said to
Yes.
Peter. I said to Peter. I said, "Hey, do you wish you made more?" And he's like, "Yeah, honestly, I wish we would have, but we can't. We're not going to be like Pagani and like the
Right.
we keep making the last edition for like 20 years, and
Right.
we said we're going to do 40 BCs. Now we're doing 80, and it tanks the value. And he was saying, look, and I'm just repeating what the guy told me. He was saying 3 have sold privately, since new, and they're about 100,000 over what people paid for them.
Money. Lots of way to make money.
Boom. Let's go to some questions here.
Yeah.
And,
Anyways, I like Gunther. Good thing.
Can we take a break?
what's that?
Quick break.
Yeah, go ahead.
Do you need me for I got an emergency at the office. Can you finish without me, or you need me for the
Yeah. You can go. We're almost done.
Okay. How much time? Oh, let me just
But
see.
why do we have to take a quick break? I can just keep this all in. Just run. We're only going to do 10 more minutes.
Keep this in. I have to
Actually,
go.
5 more minutes.
Yes.
Do you want to stay or you want to go?
5 minutes. Okay, let's go.
Okay. Do you think that they will ever make an electric car for us convertible lovers? Says Sishak.
Yes.
Good question.
Yes, every car will be electric within 12 years or so, whatever it's going to be. So yes, if they sell convertibles,
Good point,
there will
though.
be electric convertibles.
Yeah, I haven't seen one yet, right?
Yeah.
You've had a series of GT cars. Why have you selected and kept the GT2 RS versus the GT3 RS and the GT3? Well, all of those have been sold at this point. We've let all of them go because Zuckerman and I, and I think many Porsche owners, are on a 2 or 3 year cycle of things where they have us hopelessly hooked like heroin dealers or fentanyl dealers, whatever the kids are taking these days. And we've got to get the newer, the better, the stronger. And we love GT cars. We always will, but we cycle through them, I think, like a lot of folks. It is interesting, though, that there's been talk of this GT3 burnout, that there's a bit of burnout. And I know Zuckerman in our private conversations with each other and even with Mr. Seinfeld, we were like, yeah, well, maybe we'll get a GT3. Someone came up to me yesterday and said, yeah, I was just offered one at sticker out of the blue, and it made me wonder. It's like, are people tired of it? Are they sitting back and waiting a little longer to see what special cars might be coming along past the GT3?
Could
a
be
little
that.
bit of that, and I feel in a way, I got a little played with the 991. Like I had one of the first 991 GT3s in L.A. It was a 14, one of those, the funny year, and it just seemed like I was getting sold a new version every 6 months. We own so many of those cars, and that left a little bit of a bad taste in my mouth. That I felt like I was played for a sucker a little bit, if I may be honest.
Well, it's your money.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we have so much
They
fun
took
with those
it.
cars.
Yeah.
It's just where you jump back on the carousel.
I think
That's
part
all.
of it, though, with being offered at sticker, I think the reason maybe there's some that are, that offers able to happen is because the price jump from the 991 to the 992 is pretty significant. I think a lot of people.
Where is the
like,
GT3 coming in at?
I think it's starting at like 165.
Crazy.
I think
A little higher, yeah.
But so if you're leasing one for 165 and it has a bunch of options, and it's like time to get a new one, it's like suddenly the car is 30,000 more. It's like, you know what? I'll hang on to my old one. I like it. And that's the other problem. They made such great freaking cars. Like, why get
the
a new one?
997 GT3 was at a relatively inexpensive price point for GT3s. They
Right.
did not figure out that they could charge more for that car.
Right. And it was a great car. It was just, I think the 991 GT3 was such a good jump, So I don't know.
Mr. Mateo, 88. Spike first, and no question. Just want to say you guys are the best in the business, and we love your podcast, SCR for Life. Thank you, man. We love doing it. How would you compare, Mark RM61, how would you compare the RS e-tron GT to the Taycan? I don't think any of us have driven it yet. We are all getting drives. I would imagine there are a lot of similarities and some differences. But if Audi has engineered the Audi driving experience into the car, the way Porsche engineered that Porsche vibe in the Taycan, I think they're going to be successful with it because I believe there's a lot of Tesla burnout right now.
It is interesting, though. You raise a good point because, like, how do you differentiate two electric cars? So
I would imagine they're going to be the same, but, you know, what I would be looking for is a little bit of that RS6 Avant experience that I had a few weeks ago in this electric car. If they can give me a piece of that, then I'm in on electric. And you know, nothing against Tesla, but I find them bland. Some of these electric cars I find golf carty and a little bland and devoid of personality.
Well, it'll be interesting because, you know, the Volkswagen Group does this already with platform sharing, right? So like the Cayenne and the RS Q8, you know, that's the same platform underneath.
Right.
And so is the Urus and the Bentayga, but they do find a way to make them feel different.
Yep.
So I'm excited to do this comparison. Yeah.
And finally, SRA Nella, you guys really have to make the blip shirt corpses equal Porsches. A true Zuckerman classic.
Corpses equal Porsches.
It's funny and I like it, but these really inside shirts don't sell that well. You'll buy one.
Well, if you had a good image, like if you had
skeletons and Porsches, like Grateful Dead skeletons.
But most people,
or that 7-car pileup you were talking about, where dead bodies everywhere, like that.
And I've got the thumb, Mr. Mozzarella.
There's a way to do it. There's a way.
You think that? Yeah, I'm not sure about that. Anyway, but right now you can buy the new and updated Spike First and coloring book, and we're going to be having a little Cars and Coffee car show out in the Malibu Pier in a few weeks. I think maybe in June. Maybe it's a little too far out to celebrate that. I think we're going to be promoting this coloring book all year.
Can't wait for mine. You know, maybe a couple of skeletons inside a Porsche driving and waving.
Now here we go.
Yeah,
we'll turn it all over to Blip Shift and get the shirts out the door for you. Corpses. We could maybe just have a little contest on how many we would actually end up selling. Because my guess would be 30.
Yeah,
as opposed to the hundreds of the other ones.
You want to sell hundreds, not 30.
That would not be good. Anyway, it's been a pleasure being with you guys this week. Sorry for the short show, but we all have work to get back to. Joni's got to get out and shoot. I've got to get out and write, and Zuckerman's got to get out and sue the world.
Fucking sue you.
Yeah, I hear they're going to make the police liable for all those shootings. Oh, time to cash in. Hey.
Ching.
I wish you could see his eyes just getting larger.
That should happen. That should happen, by the way, and I hope it does. That benefits all of us, Zuckerman. That's all I have for you. I want to thank Audi for coming out to the Cars and Coffee. It was great, and taking that nice picture of me. We'll see you next week on Spike's Car Radio.
Thanks for listening to Spike's Car Radio, brought to you by Hangar 56. Listen to new episodes every Wednesday, and be sure to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your favorite podcasts.
Ever tried reading while jogging, cooking, or even juggling flaming torches? Yeah, it doesn't end well. But with audiobooks.com, you can conquer books without the circus act. Dive into over 450,000 titles, including more than 10,000 free ones. Get hooked on a bestseller, find your next obsession, or finally read that classic you've been avoiding since high school. And here's the inside scoop. Sign up today for a free 30-day trial and snag your first 3 audiobooks on the house. Sign up for your free trial at audiobooks.com/podcastfree today. That's audiobooks.com/podcastfree.